Backstage at Heavy TO. Welcome to Downsview Park in Toronto, and none other than Mr. David Ellefson is with us right now. Thank you, Mr. Ellefson.
How are you? How you doing?
Excellent, man. Excellent. It is hotter than you know what back here.
It's hot, yeah.
Give me some secrets on how you cool down for this kind of event.
Well, normally you don't wear a black shirt, right? But in fact, I live in Phoenix, and ironically, we played Phoenix about a week ago, and it was one of the cooler cities on the entire tour. So ever since we left there, we've been part of this massive heat waves. And, you know, one of the things about it, first of all, drink a lot of water. And we're kind of facing the sun here, so that's not good, right? Air conditioning is good, right? So this is like one of the hotter days I've ever been to a show here in Toronto. You know, usually you try to catch a little break after the show and chill out on the bus or somewhere, you know.
And happy with the fact that we finally have a great festival environment in North America, in Canada. How important is it for us North Americans to kind of embrace this and support it, because we want to kind of get to the Vaughan level, we want to get to the level of Donington, the way the Europeans are. So how important is this for Megadeth?
You know, I think it's great. You know, last year we played up in Montreal, and then to play here this year, it was convenient. We have a day off today on the Mayhem Tour down in the United States, so we're able to get up here and do this, so we appreciate the invitation to be here. And, you know, it was interesting. At Nebworth, we did Big Four a couple weeks ago, and, you know, to really see, especially with the British, man, they really, that's where it started, you know what I mean, with the old new wave of British heavy metal, to see the patches on the jackets. And I mean, there's, no pun intended, it's literally woven into the thread of their fabric of people, the metal community, you know, and to see that, you know, that all these young kids who are growing up, who are doing what their forefathers did so many years ago with Saxon and Iron Maiden and UFO and all the big British bands, which then of course led to the, you know, ultimately the creation of thrash metal, and now whole generations beyond that. So I think for Canada, this is great because you guys have an identity. Hey, my first favorite band was a Canadian band, Bachman Turner Overdrive, you know? So, and then,
not fragile.
You know, dude, that was the ultimate bass line, man. That got me inspired to play bass. So, but, you know, and then also, you know, for me, living just over the border in Minnesota, you know, a lot of the bands like, you know, April Wine and bands like that really had a big influence. Rush, naturally, you know, had a big influence. So, you know, it's cool to cement the metal community together, you know, because that's one that you know, despite trends and popularities and radio and all the other things that are nice to have if you can have them, but, you know, at the core of us, you know, we're a metal community that's pretty tightly knit, you know.
And Heavy TO gets 3/4 of the Big Four. So
yeah,
we're almost there.
That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
I honestly have to pinch myself because we're about the same age, so grew up in the early 80s, late 70s, buying all the stuff firsthand, and to actually hear about the Big Four coming together. It's still surreal. Do you find it wearing a little thin, though? Because I know there's talk about maybe more shows possibly. You did the California one, you got the big Yankee Stadium thing going.
Right.
There's all these rumors about the full tour. Do you think it's too much? Or
No, you know what I think is that, you know, this is us giving back to our fans, you know, because they have been so supportive to us all for so many years. And, you know, we have, the thrash community is so big, it can only fit inside of football stadiums and baseball stadiums, right? So for everybody who thought that it was a quick little trend and we were all going to go away so many years ago, you know, this is really for the fans, because that's what our genre was about, man. I mean, we were just like our fans are just like us. We dress the same, we think the same, and that's what brings us together. So for thrash metal, man, the Big Four is really just the ultimate celebration.
And there's talk about, well, maybe there should be a big 5 or 6 or 7. Testament, Overkill, Exodus. I guess there's a line in the sand there, right? Without causing any disrespect to anybody.
You could extend it out. I mean, look, there's a ton of bands that are part of the scene, you know what I mean? But I think the original epicenter of it was, you know, the 4 of us were the ones that, for whatever reason, you know, became the most popular. But we didn't come up with the Big Four. Some fan or the media or somebody came up with it, right? They coined the phrase the Big Four, and that's really where that whole thing started. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, to have 4 bands who are the most popular heavy metal bands ever to come out of North America, that's pretty amazing, especially, again, considering it really started overseas in Europe and especially in England. You know, I mean, Motorhead's here today. I mean, if it weren't for them, man, there would be no Big Four.
Well, let's move from the Big Four and talk about a brand new record that is completed. So the baby is about to be born.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be born till November, apparently, right? Dave
That's
says.
what I'm hearing. Yes. Yep. Yeah.
So give us some early response.
Well, you know, I got to say, for me, coming back last year to the Rest in Peace tour was a great way to come back into the fold. You know, because making a record has a whole dynamic and an energy and sort of an emotional and psychological thing about it, you know, just when you're creating something with other people. So to come back, take the thing around the world for a year, really get it cemented in place so we're really solid as a band was ideal. And then to go in and start making the record, you know, we started talking about it as far back as, I don't know, July, August, September. We started saying, man, we got to start thinking about the next record, you know. And we got together for a little bit in January. We threw some ideas around. We're just mostly compiling ideas and trying to kind of compartmentalize them. And as it turns out, Johnny K was available to do the record, which I think was a much needed transition because of his background and the fact that he makes great heavy rock records, great metal records, but also knows, you know, how to, you know, Megadeth, we've got a very kind of unique quality as a metal band where we can write great hooks, very heavy riffs that are also very hooky, and Dave, you know, can be a fantastic storyteller. And one of the things I'll say here, and now that we're hearing the mixes, you know, Dave has kind of gone into a new level of not just writing lyrics and words, because he's been good at that, especially politically and things like that, and writing some stories about himself. Now he's starting to really kind of write some stories about other topics and things that he himself doesn't have experience with, and that's a hard thing to do. You know, it's one thing to have been there and write about it, but to sort of see something and write a story about it, it's pretty fascinating, and I'm proud of him that he's doing that, because that's not an easy thing to do as a lyricist.
And you're comfortably being back in the family again.
I am, I really am. And you know, I went into it again not knowing how this was going to work. And of course, we only had about a 2-month window behind the Indio Big Four and then the next Big Four, which was July 2nd in Europe. That was our window to make this album. So it was sort of like we all had to put any, you know, personal hopes and agendas or anything aside and just go, man, we got a window where we can make this work. Johnny's available. We can get this record made, get out, and that will essentially give us a bunch of brand new tunes we can take around the world for the next couple years. So everybody really had a great group, you know, team mentality about it. And I just went into it and go, man, if all I'm needed to do is just play bass, great. If anybody wants to, you know, write words, we can. If we need to sit down and hash through some riffs, we can. And that was a good way to do it. And as a result, you know, we've got one of these records that I think is greater than the sum of its parts.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Enjoy
it.
the
Good
heat.
luck. Yeah,
Yes.
you too. Thanks for coming to Toronto, and always nice to chat.
Great to be here.
Say hi
Yeah.
to Mr. Risco.
I will. All right.
Cheers, man. Thanks, man.